More reports about the SEC and Big Ten potentially holding conversations about a scheduling agreement, leaving out the Big 12 and ACC. And in this episode, which is brought to you in part by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino and Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner attorneys at law, we're going to talk about whether or not the Big 12 and ACC should just tell these two conferences to kick rocks. We will do our own thing, and we may even merge. Should the ACC and Big 12 merge? Well, we're going to talk about that right after this word from one of those sponsors. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up? Welcome into another episode of Couz's Corner. I am your host, Couz. Come on in, belly yourself up to the bar, and let me pour you out a shot of top shelf college football content on tap today at Couz's Corner. We're talking about a potential ACC and Big 12 merger. This is a video I've had on my mind to do for quite a while, but I wasn't quite sure what direction to take it. And then last week, we saw an article by Ross Dellinger come out, which I did a live stream on. I'll link to that at the end, by the way. You'll find it up in the corner of your screen at the end of the video, end of this video. And then today, another article comes out by Heather Dinich, this time talking more about a potential scheduling agreement between the SEC and the Big Ten. And I'm not going to share the whole article with you, but what I am going to do is share some of the just the bullet points, the high-level items from that article. The first one being, before the Big Ten and SEC do any type of scheduling agreement, the Big Ten wants the SEC to go to a 9-game conference schedule. They want everybody to be on the same playing field, which makes sense. I totally understand it and actually agree with it. Most of us that aren't in the SEC have been saying they should go to a 9-game conference schedule. And I think the ACC should do the same. I think all power leagues should all play a 9-game conference schedule. But that being said, they're going to meet, and that will likely be part of these discussions this week when the ADs from these schools meet, along with the conference commissioners. They also want another big topic of discussion in these meetings between the ADs of these two conferences is going to be figuring out the future of the college football playoff. And before they make any agreements about scheduling regular season games or even bowl games, which was another part of the previous article by Dellinger, they need to get the future of the CFP straightened out. And until they do that, then they won't know what direction to go as far as scheduling games or scheduling agreements, right? Because they're going to need to know, are we going to get 3 automatic bids for each league? Or are we going to get 4? Or are we going to stick with just a champion? Where is this thing going to go? Because that can impact who they schedule games with. No, and sources in both leagues, according to this article by Heather Dinich at ESPN.com, sources in both leagues want at least 4 automatic bids for their respective leagues. Now, if they do that, they will likely go to a 14-game or 14-team playoff. You would have 8. In that scenario, you would have 8 of the 14 teams coming from 2 conferences. Now, that's going to get a lot of pushback from the Big 12, the ACC, the Group of 5, and maybe even Notre Dame and the Independents. Going to get a lot of pushback. Maybe not from Notre Dame because they're probably going to be happy as long as they get a spot for themselves. But nonetheless, you see where I'm going with it. It's going to get a lot of pushback. And rightfully so. And according to one of these SEC sources that Heather Dinich talked to, they said they want to minimize subjectivity when it comes to the playoff selections, which is why this idea, which was brought forward by Tony Petitti previously, is why that idea of automatic berths for each league makes sense, because you don't have to worry about a committee and somebody's opinion. This league gets so many berths, and this league gets so many berths. Now, there may be some subjectivity as far as a few of the at-large qualifiers, but you're taking out the subjectivity when it comes to the majority of the teams in the playoff. Now, this source said he doesn't know if 4 is the right number or not. We've heard in previous reports several months ago about maybe having a 3-3-2-2 one model where you get 3 bids from the Big 10, 3 bids from the SEC, 2 from the ACC, 2 from the Big 12. You get 1 from the G5 and so on and so forth. I actually like that model. I know the Big 12 and ACC, I think, pushed back on that model. But looking at the landscape of college football today, the ACC and Big 12 may only get 1 team in most years. So if you're guaranteed to get at least 2 of your teams in every single year, why not? The only thing about that I wouldn't like is it might take a little bit of importance off the conference title game because both teams are likely going to get in potentially. So, but other than that, it guarantees your league at least 2 spots in the playoff. I like that scenario. I don't like giving each conference the two what they call the P2. I don't like giving them 4 automatic qualifiers, but I'd be okay with 3. But anyway, that's a little bit off topic. One of the things this has a lot of us ACC and Big 12 fans talking about is, we don't like this. We don't like the fact that the Big 10 and SEC are kind of taking it upon themselves to have these conversations without including our leagues in it. So a lot of us are sitting back going, maybe we should just merge. And I've been of the opinion that the ACC and Big 12 should just merge and form one giant league and do their own thing and forget about the ACC and Big 10. Don't even play them in non-conference. Do your own thing. Have one giant league. Set it up similar to what the NFL model looks like. Crown your own champion. Bada bing, bada boom. It's a good deal, right? And I've even said, hey, if you come out winning that league, that there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in being the best team out of a 32 or 33 team conference or division or whatever you want to call it. There'd be no harm in that. You'd have a league of teams of all your peers in this conference. There's no shame in being the first place team in that. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. We crown their champion, and they're proud to be the champion, right? They're the best team in football in America. What is the shame in being the best team in a 32 or 33 team league of all your peers? I don't see one. A lot of people wouldn't like it. I actually said I would like it. But then the only way I think that works, I'll tell you what, before I get to how it would work, let's take a look at it. Before we do take a look at it, I'm going to show you what this merger would look like on a map potentially. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to one of my sponsors here and remind you that right now, our good friends over at BetUS have a special. On your first deposit, if you're looking for a new sports book, on your very first deposit at BetUS online sports book, you get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Take advantage of that offer, 150% bonus on your first deposit. Please play responsibly, and you must be 18 years of age or older. Don't forget that. Now, let's get back to the show. When you take a look at what a merger could potentially look like, isn't that beautiful? Look at all those pretty colors. You cover West Coast to East Coast, Southwest to Northeast. You get Florida, you get Texas, and everything in between. The only thing you don't have is the Pacific Northwest and the very north, like Minnesota and those states. But you get everything south of there, coast to coast. Now, I did not look close enough at a map. Some of these teams might be low. I might have them located in the wrong place within their state, but you get the point. This is not a geography lesson. The point is to show what a merged Big 12 and ACC would look like. Pretty remarkable, isn't it? Now, I went a step further, and I tried to put this into pods or divisions, rather. It would actually be divisions because of the amount of teams. Right now, the way it sits, there would be 33 teams, not counting Notre Dame. You'd have 33 teams in this conference. I like even numbers. So I decided, you know what, if you're going to do this merger, first off, before we do that, look at the basketball games you could have here. Arizona, North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, all in the same conference. You'd have Virginia in the conference. Man, what a great basketball conference would this be? Baylor, Florida State is a good basketball school. Miami's been playing well in basketball. This would be a super, super basketball league right here if you merged the ACC and the Big 12. But with that in mind, I'm thinking, how do you make this an even better league? A better league, especially when it comes to basketball. How about you add UConn into the conference? Especially now, if we assume Florida State and Clemson is going to leave, that would leave you 31 teams. Adding UConn gets you to 32. Then you could have an even number of teams in each division. The way it's set up now, you would have 2 divisions with 9 teams and 2 divisions with 8. But as you see how I got them, I have a Northeast division, a Southeast division, a Central division, and then what I call the Western division, which is basically all the former Pac schools plus Kansas or Kansas State, whichever one you want to put in there. The Central division would be Iowa State, the other Kansas school, Kansas State in this case, Oklahoma State, and all 5 Texas schools, right? Including the 4 in the Big 12 plus SMU. Your Northeast would be Syracuse, Boston College, UConn, Pitt, West Virginia, Cincinnati, Louisville, Virginia Tech, and Virginia. As a West Virginia fan, I would love to be in that division with those teams. You get both 4 of your old rivals back, 5 if you count Boston College. You get Cincinnati and Louisville in the same conference. You get Pitt and Cincinnati, or same division. You get Pitt and Cincinnati in the same division. I think that's an exciting division. Then in the Southeast, you get all of your Carolina schools. You get Clemson, you get Georgia Tech, and in this case, you get Florida State, Miami, and UCF. Again, if Florida State and Clemson leave, then you could obviously move a couple of these teams around. But nonetheless, you see the point here. This would be some exciting football and some very exciting basketball. If these 2 conferences merged and you divided them up into these 4 divisions, the 4 division winners play a 2-game playoff for the championship. Bada bing, bada boom, there's your winner. And I thought it sounded great, but then I got to doing some thinking. I'm not sure this would actually work monetarily, and it's a couple of reasons why. Number one, TV deal. What kind of TV deal would this league get? Yes, the networks would love having all that inventory. They already have it in the form of the ACC and the Big 12, right? They already have it to a degree, especially ESPN, because they have all of the ACC already. They have 2/3 of the Big 12 already. Why would they want this merger to happen? It wouldn't. I don't see where it benefits them. I don't think they'd be on board for it. Fox maybe, but then they might be on the hook for trying to spend more. Now they could get some ACC games potentially, but why would ESPN want to give that up to let Fox in on the deal? I don't see that happening. And then you also take in fact, even if they do merge, right now each conference is making what, about $50 million all in when you add in TV revenue, playoff money, everything. It's right around the $45-50 million range, maybe $55 million. I don't know. I'm guessing. But you get my point. They're right around $50 million all in per team per year. Why would that change just because you join the 2 conferences together? Matter of fact, maybe it would be worse because you have to divide the money up amongst more teams. The only way it would work is if you brought a 3rd or even 4th media partner into the deal. But then again, ESPN's not going to want to give up the games that they already have. So I don't see how it works unless the fact you get more enticing matchups within these divisions, maybe that is more attractive to the networks. But again, there's so many teams here. Would it work? And then the other thing, which I think would be even a bigger obstacle, is a college football playoff. If these 2 leagues merge, if the ACC and Big 12 merge, you only get one. You're likely only going to get 2 to 3 automatic qualifiers at most in the college football playoff, because as I've already talked about, the Big 10 and SEC are basically setting the rules here. They're not going to give a league like this they're not going to give them 4 automatic berths. They're not going to agree to that. They might give them 3, but how is that benefiting the Big 12 and ACC when you combine them and you get 3? I mean, like I said, there have been discussions about giving each of those leagues 2. Why would you want to give up an extra spot to merge with another league? I don't think, and then your conference would lose that college football playoff money. So the way the college football playoff is going to be set up going forward, I don't think an ACC Big 12 merger would make sense. I really don't. I think it's a great idea when it comes to regular season, but once you start talking about the postseason, I'm not sure it makes any sense. Maybe I'm missing something here. You let me know in the comment section. Is there a way to make it work to where these 2 leagues could merge and still be made whole when it comes to the college football playoff and also a TV deal? How would a TV deal work out with the 2? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Maybe a full-blown merger isn't the answer. Maybe they do a scheduling agreement, much like the SEC and Big Ten are talking about doing. Now, that is something I think would be more interesting and maybe more realistic. The ACC and Big 12, they do their own scheduling agreement. But then, again, unless the Big Ten and SEC kick you out and decide they don't want to play you, do you really want to give up games on your schedule against the SEC and Big Ten that could make you money? If you get an SEC or Big Ten, especially a top-level Big Ten team coming into your stadium, you're going to sell that out. West Virginia's a perfect example. One of the largest crowds they've had in a long time at Milan Puskar Stadium was the Saturday Penn State came to town. West Virginia likely made a lot of money off of them. I don't even think it's likely. They made a lot of money off that game. Why would you want to give that up if there's a chance to do that going forward? I don't know. You tell me. Would a scheduling agreement be the right move between these two leagues? Should they just continue down the road they're going on right now? What do you think they should do? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment. And yes, I know there's the thoughts about the ACC potentially imploding. I'm doing this with the assumption that's not going to happen, and that the only two teams that would likely leave would be Clemson and Florida State. Again, just an assumption. And I'm not even sure those two teams leave at this juncture because I'm not sure they have a landing spot. So with that being said, what are your thoughts about a potential ACC Big 12 merger? I want to give a quick shout out to my VIP members of this episode. These are paid members who pay $4.99 or $2.99 a month to get access to early videos and get these random shout outs. They also get first dibs when it comes to chats, getting their comments read in live streams. Chester Worrell, who's a new member, Vernon Sheldon Witter, Roy Harrison, S. Michael DeHart, Earl Cart, and TS. Thank all of you for being paid VIP members here on the channel. I appreciate your support. If you want to become a paid VIP member, hit the join button below or hit the one over at my channel homepage right beside my profile photo. Also want to give a shout out to my two sponsors, BetUS Sportsbook and Casino and Cats Counter, Stone Street, and Buckner. Thank them for helping me keep the lights on. Go to my description box. You'll find a lot of other ways you can support me. You can do it for absolutely free, though. Absolutely free and absolutely easy by hitting the thumbs up button. If you like this video, you thought it was top shelf content, please hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe. Help me get to 10,000. Please share it with your family and friends and drop that comment. That helps out too. I appreciate you tuning into this episode. Don't forget the one in the corner of your screen right here. I hope the rest of your day is top shelf and cue country roads.